Am I the asshole for telling my mother-in-law that once she reads up on basic 6th grade biology, she's free to give me a call and apologize? I, 28 female, have been married to my husband, Cam, 32 male, for 2 years, and we've been together for 4 in total. He was a friend of my older brother, so I've known him even longer. Cam and I decided to try for a baby, and now I'm currently 20 weeks with our first. When we told my mother-in-law the news, the first thing she mentioned was that every woman in the family had had a son before they had a daughter, so she thought the baby would be a boy. Cam and I told her we didn't care what we were having, we just wanted a happy and healthy child. Well, I'm having a girl, and we informed my mother-in-law of this earlier this evening. Cam and I weren't on board with the idea of a huge dramatic gender reveal, so we just decided to go with casual announcements. Mother-in-law immediately seemed upset at this, and she told me that the next time I need to try harder to give my husband a son. I laughed and I said I didn't really have much of a choice in the matter, so if and when we have another child, there's nothing I could do to make sure we had a boy then either. She said that it was a fault on my end, because she had had a boy first. She had all boys. All of her other sons' wives had boys first, so that meant I was the odd one out. Cam told his mom that he didn't care about having a son or not, and that she needed to stop blaming me for something that couldn't possibly be my fault. But then she started getting on to him about how he should want a child that can carry on the family name instead of a daughter that will just be given away. Oh, there it is. This is the medieval way of thinking. OPB marrying into the Targaryen house. That would have been worth mentioning. The whole thing was absolutely ridiculous. So I told her that once she looks into getting a refresher course and reading up on basic biology she should have learned in the 6th grade, she's free to give me a call and apologize for being absolutely ridiculous. My husband and I left after that, and in the car he said that while he understood my frustration, he didn't appreciate me speaking to his mother like that, because I basically implied that she was an idiot. I told him that I didn't appreciate the way she was speaking to me, and that he should be upset on behalf of our daughter, since his mom clearly seems to think less of our child before she's even born. The rest of the car ride was silent, and honestly we haven't talked since getting back home either. He did defend me to her, so I know he's on my side, but I know he wouldn't have brought up the way I spoke to her unless he really thought I was out of line. I feel like a bit of an asshole now, and I'm not sure if I should apologize to her or not. No, don't apologize. Not because you shouldn't have done it the way that you did, because lashing out the way that you did at something that she should have never said and she was completely in the wrong for and ignorant about, or just so said in these old school Targaryen ways, because that happens with the Targaryens, you know. Either way, she shouldn't have done it. And I know we get into a lot of situations on here where we use the ASCON scale to determine how much of an asshole someone is. Someone making the ASCON scale doesn't mean that they're the asshole or an asshole. It means they might be a little bit of one because they could have done something differently. And obviously, hindsight's 20/20. We can always do things differently after the fact. Well, I mean, we wish we could. And this might be one of those times, because the way that she lashed out essentially was stooping herself to a level that she didn't have to. She didn't have to play in the mud here. It was her choice to get in the mud and get dirty with mother-in-law, who was already there and just lives there, apparently, wallowing in the mud all the time. But she didn't have to do that. She could have just said, pretty sure I don't have any control over that. The take a basic biology lesson comment was the stinger. That's the one here that was a ball of shit that didn't need to be thrown. Not saying she's wrong for doing it, just saying she didn't have to. She could have done it without giving mother-in-law something to use against her. That's really why it's important, battle-wise here. She gave mother-in-law ammo that she's willing to stoop to this level and hurl insults and basically call her boy's mama ignorant. Can you believe that? I know she didn't just say that to me, Jack. Can you believe that? I almost dropped my plate of biscuits. Obviously, there's some kind of cultural thing here where, you know, in that family, I guess they're expected to bear princes who can carry on the line. Okay, that might be just a cultural thing. Thinking it's not, because it's probably a conversation that OP and her husband would have had along the way here somewhere, but it could be. That's a possible path here. And if that's the case, it kind of does change things because it's a misunderstanding, and then there probably needs to be some apologizing on everyone's part. Let's assume it's not, though, and let's just assume that mother-in-law is just a a touch crazy maybe about this whole have to have a boy thing. You still didn't have to play in the bud with her. I mean, you did, so I hope it was fun, but it was unnecessary. And that's the part of this that your husband is taking issue with. So if you're going to apologize to anyone, apologize to him, not to mother-in-law, because if you apologize to mother-in-law at this point, it hands her one more thing to use against you. I think that's how I view this situation. Everyone might disagree with me, and it's honestly more fun when they do. So what can you think of that would make this whole thing better? Is it solvable? Are they just the Targaryens that she's married into and now she just screwed the whole thing up? Tell me your thoughts. I'm interested to know.